Make sure I get my feed up. There we go. All right, let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to I am your host, Tyrone Bridges. Let's get it.
Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I am your host, Tyrone Bridges, and welcome to I Thought You Knew. We have a very, very special guest on our show. One of my friends I have developed a good relationship with within the public atmosphere, and Washtenaw County Commissioner, Justin Douglas Hodge. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Always a pleasure to be here, Tyrone. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Just a quick flashback, y'all. We had Justin on our show last with Senator Jeff Irwin.
Yep.
And that was, I believe, March 30th of 2021. After this interview, I'm going to put up a throwback interview with both of these gentlemen, because when I say that it is a real display of public leadership in that interview and with the information that they brought to the public, in which currently people are still benefiting from the SERA program. Mm-hmm. So I would like to actually touch on everything within the whole, definition of your campaign. So Justin, talk to the people, let the people know who you are, who haven't been previously introduced to you. Let them know who you are, sir.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Tyrone. Always appreciate being here. I'm Justin Hodge. I am the Washtenaw County Commissioner for District 5, which is most of Ypsilanti Township and all of Augusta Township. I'm a social worker and I'm a professor of social work at the University of Michigan. My approach to public service has always been about working to try to make people's lives better. I hope that I feel like I have done a good job during my first term in doing that. And I know we're going to dig into some of the stuff that I've talked about or that I've worked on throughout this term. But there's a lot of work that I've started that I want to continue, and that's why I'm running for re-election.
Well, look here, let's dive into that. Let's dive into things that you are currently working on, and let's give the public a little bit more of feedback of what you're currently doing.
Yeah, so the biggest thing right now that we're working on, you and I haven't talked a ton about this yet, so I'm glad we have this opportunity. Is working on combating gun violence. So I live in Sugarbrook, and typically when the weather starts to get warmer, we see a rise in gun violence. And we know that most of the shootings that happen in Washtenaw County tend to be retaliatory in nature. And a lot of the shootings happen to be kids shooting back and forth at each other. Well, I've been working with a group since about last August, meeting weekly for a good chunk of time, working to figure out what can we do to try to interrupt a lot of the violence that we're seeing in our community. At our most recent Board of Commissioners meeting, we passed a resolution committing the county to addressing gun violence, along with a group of 14 recommendations that the group that I've been working with has put together. And we got Youth Voice involved in that, and a lot of experts that have been working in this space, including Supreme Felons, and working to figure out what can we do to do the better work around here to try to save lives. So that's something that's been really important to me, particularly because there are a lot of kids in my neighborhood, and we see this rise in shootings between here, the south side of the city of Ypsilanti, and the West Willow area.
Right. And man, that's beautiful, man. That's a wonderful thing that you are working with the groups and actually having these meetings, because that is a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. And we need that. So basically, give the public more information about the things that you are wanting to continue to work on while you are trying to become the second term commissioner.
Yeah, so continuing that violence interruption work. Another really interesting thing that kind of came out of nowhere is work that the county has been doing that I've been leading on working to combat food insecurity. We are working with the American Center for Mobility, Eritropolis, KiwiBot, Airspace Link, Food Gatherers, and the University of Michigan Poverty Solutions on this proposal that we've just submitted to the federal government to try to get funding to come up with this really innovative idea where we would use drones to deliver food directly to people that are in food insecure areas. So we've got that application in. I'm hoping that we'll get funded for the next phase of that so we can really start working on that and building out what that kind of program would look like. So that's something that, I'm no drone expert, but it's been interesting to get involved in that work to combat food insecurity because we see a lot of that, particularly in my district. So that's one of the things I want to continue working on. Of course, the violence interruption work, and then using the funds from the American Rescue Plan Act in a really responsible way. That, it's a once in a generation investment in our communities. And we've rolled out 2 Washtenaw County Rescue Plans. We're working on the 3rd one. And that work is going to continue into next year too. I've been, leading a lot of the work that we've been doing in the eastern part of the county and really trying to make direct investments in this part of the county in a way that's never been done before. And I really want to be able to continue that work as well.
Well, speak a little bit more about the Washtenaw Rescue Plan, please.
Yeah, so, the first one we passed last year, I think it was September now, and it included a lot of different kinds of programs that I don't really see people talking about enough. So the one that I've been most excited about is a children's savings accounts program. So if people really closely followed my campaign, I have been working with the county through my other position at the university and trying to get the county to start a children's savings account program before I became a county commissioner. And then I was able to help get that to the finish line after being elected. So what this is going to look like is every kid in a Washtenaw County public school is going to get a savings account for college. And it can be used for any kind of post-secondary education. So it can be used for trade school, other kinds of training programs, and then expenses that are associated with that. And the way that we were able to work it to promote equity is that if you're a kid that gets free or reduced lunch, you're going to get $500 seeded into that account instead of the $25 minimum to open it. That's just a start. We know that that's not the amount of money that's going to pay for a kid to go to college. But the beautiful thing about these accounts is that the research shows that a kid that grows up with a college savings account, from the time that they're really young to the time that they graduate from high school, even if they don't have a ton of money in it by the time that they graduate, they're several times more likely to go to college or some other form of post-secondary education because they've grown up thinking, I'm going to save, I'm going to go to college. And there are all these other kinds of really impactful effects of these kinds of accounts. It's even been shown to reduce child abuse, which you wouldn't necessarily expect from, families having savings accounts would have that kind of impact. So I'm really happy about that. We're working to get those accounts launched. I think our current plan and our hope is to this coming school year will be the first cohort of kids that start to get those accounts.
Justin, I'd like to throw a pitch if you don't mind me asking. Even we always throw pitches because we kind of like tweaking the program a little bit. I'd like for you, I know you and Senator Jeff Irwin are always good people to work with. I'd like for you and Senator Jeff Irwin to see if you guys could consider some avenues of that Washtenaw County Rescue Plan funding to some of the Ypsilanti educators, which include social workers and support staff at some of these schools, mentioning ACE here over here on E-Course. A lot of times, a lot of the public doesn't realize that the imbalance of funding from Ann Arbor Public Schools versus Ypsi Public Schools is a shame. Yeah. In Ypsi Public Schools, in the ACE program, I know that there are a lot of support staff struggling and making ends meet from check to check. They need their funding increased, at least close to, if not equal to, what Ann Arbor is getting, because you're teaching children and your whole energy is into those children. And at the end of the day, the support staff and the social workers and all those shouldn't have to go home feeling depleted of energy, plus have to scratch and scrape for the next dollar to help pay bills. That's a sad situation. Nobody is looking into that. I just, I don't want to throw that in and cloud the campaign pitch, but please put that in your thoughts. And
no, absolutely. I'm
yeah.
right there with you on us needing to be able to support our educators and support staff in our schools much better. I mean, the formula that the state uses for education funding just doesn't work, and it hasn't worked. And I know that it's really important to Senator Irwin too to work to try to make some of those changes. I'm hopeful that after the next election cycle that the state legislature will look different in terms of who's in control. And I'm hopeful that the Democrats will take control of the state legislature and be able to work more seriously on some of those education challenges. Before I was doing the work that I'm doing now, my background is in clinical social work. So I used to do child and family therapy. I would go to schools or meet kids at McDonald's or at their home or wherever and do therapy there. So I mean, I know how challenging it is in the schools. And I always think back to my work doing direct work with families when I think about what can we do to advance better policy.
All right. And I think I believe I already know you. I've seen you in action. I've seen you a lot in action. You are a man of your word. I don't want to blast you out on the show, but how old are you, if you don't mind?
I'm 31.
31. So news flash, this man is in the middle of my children's range. So he's like literally in the middle of my children's range. My oldest child is 38. This man right here, let me talk to y'all real quick about this man. I had to punt this in because this man has been a man of his word. He has followed through with everything that I brought to him. I've actually picked up the phone on off days and called him while he's at home. Phone went to voicemail. I left a voicemail, 12-minute respond back, 12 minutes. That's what you call leadership, and gave me information that I needed within 5 or 10 minutes. And that's the type of leadership we need in Washtenaw County. We need leaders that could be picked up the phone, somebody call them, they get in contact. That's what public service is all about. You serving the public. Your voters don't put you there just to ignore phone calls and ignore emails. And you do things that you say you're doing. You came on this show before and you talked to us about the things that you were doing. And it's evident that if you are back in that seat as county commissioner for District 5, you're going to work across the whole board and work with all the commissioners for the betterment of all of the constituents, not only in District 5, but for the whole county. This is the type of leadership you guys get. And like I said, I only known him for about a year. Man of his word. Great leadership.
I appreciate you saying that, Tyrone. That's why I got into politics, is because of my passion for public service. I mean, I've always been in public service between my time as a clinical social worker and in the work that I do at our fine public university here. I mean, that's what it's all about, is working to figure out how do we make government help people's lives and make people have better lives. I mean, that's what government is for. And we got to be accessible. We got to be transparent. And that's what I've strived to do during my first term.
My man, look here. Everybody, y'all need to know how to contact this man. Y'all need to know how to contact him if y'all support his campaign, even if you just want to have a conversation with him. I'm gonna put this to him and let him give you his information. And please contact him, see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, please reach out anytime. You can learn more about the campaign and what we're doing at votejustinhodge.com. You can always feel free to shoot me an email at info@votejustinhodge.com. And I get back to you pretty quickly. I mean, I aim to, and I think we got a pretty quick turnaround.
My man is real, y'all. Seriously. Is there anything that I didn't cover in this interview that I might have forgot? Or because like I said, this is no rubber stamping of a candidate or a person that's in politics. He's not even a politician. He's a social worker. He's a social worker that's in a leadership position using his social worker skills to serve his people, public servant.
You know, you mentioned earlier about my focus on trying to make everybody's lives better across the county, because that's really critical to what we do as a board. You know, there's 9 county commissioners. We each represent different parts of the county, but our focus is supposed to be moving everyone forward. A tool that I really push for the county to use, and I got a policy passed that makes us use it, is our opportunity index, which maps out what opportunity looks like for people across the county. And what you could do is, if you go to opportunitywashtenaw.org, you can see the tool there and look at what things look like. I mean, one of the challenges we face in our county is that Washtenaw County is one of the most economically segregated regions in the entire country. And you notice that if you look at the map, you can see that there's extreme disparities in health outcomes and economic outcomes for people, particularly in the Ypsi area compared to the Ann Arbor area. And we got to do better about that. Working to combat poverty is one of the things that I'm most passionate about. I'm really excited that I was recently appointed to a commission by Governor Whitmer that's focused on addressing poverty across the state. And I was recently appointed to be chair of that commission. So I'm hoping that, you know, we can I can take a lot of the work that I've been doing in Washtenaw County to try to take that, like children's savings accounts and financial empowerment center. I could certainly talk about that too. Take that kind of strategy to the state level and hopefully get more funding for a lot of the things that we talk about. But it is really critical when we think about what are we going to do with the funding through Washtenaw rescue plan packages. How do we help out people that are in the western part of the county too, where there's a lot of different poverty there too, but poverty that looks a bit different in rural areas compared to the poverty that we see in the more urban areas in the eastern part of the county. Those are all things that we have to think about. And I think I've been really effective at working with the other commissioners, because the thing is, if you want to get anything done, you got to get the votes to do that. And being able to work and get at the minimum of 5 votes we need to pass something means you got to get people that don't represent your area to agree, hey, this is a thing that we really need to do something about. And being able to work together, and like you said, my training as a social worker has been really helpful in me figuring out where people are coming from, what's important to them, and figuring out how do we work together. And that's more what you get if I'm reelected.
All right. Now, real quick, Justin, with a pinch of transparency here on the show. You got the same email that every Washtenaw County Commissioner candidate received, right?
Yep.
Came to you with everybody's name on it. I'm not going to name no names, but every county commissioner that I wanted to interview for these segments received the email. Either they didn't see the email, it went to spam, and usually it don't, or they ignored it. So for whatever it's worth, on this show, we try to speak with you. We try to let you speak. And we try to be as honest as possible. We're not perfect, but this is a free segment for the public. And we tend to hold you to your word. So if you're afraid to come on a show and you are a public servant, let that statement sink in first before you even answer. Because if you serve the public, there shouldn't be any show on social media network or on television network or on prime time that you shouldn't indulge, because voters are voters for you. Even the ones that don't want to vote for you, they might want to vote for you once when they hear you. But we're opening the opportunity up again publicly to everybody that's running for Washtenaw County Commission. You know how to reach our show. You know how to reach me directly. If you don't know, I'm gonna tell you now. You can reach me directly at tyronebridges@yahoo.com. You can reach me directly, 734-444-4841. Or you can call our show hotline, 734-444-3675. And if you choose to come go revisit some of our interviews, check us out at our website at I Thought You Knew Ypsi, YPSI.com. You can see some of the past interviews, a lot of the current interviews. So I wanted to plug that in while you're here, while you can bear me witness that you received the same piece of paper that everybody else received. This show,
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one thing I'm really grateful for is that you always put so much attention on the county commission races. I think county government is something that it touches people all the time. Like when you think about the work that we did through our health department to get vaccines to people,
yes,
and how we worked to make sure that we were doing that with an equity lens. These are things that affect people's day-to-day lives, but people tend not to pay attention to what the Board of Commissioners is doing, which, you know, when we're making multi-million-dollar investments in the community because of the money that we have from the federal government, I mean, people got to pay attention to that and make their voices heard. And you got to be able to hear from the people that are elected to represent the people. So it's, I'm always grateful that you have invite me on the show and you create this platform for people to be able to come and talk and share. I mean, it's really important that people know what we're doing at the county.
That's it. That's all it is. You know, when you bring in something to the public, you're supposed to let everybody know. You might not have liked them when you went to school with them, or they didn't like you when you went to school or walked the streets when you was a kid. You know, you still are a public servant. You need to serve the public. Public servants like this, we got to get them all in place. We have to vote. We have to check their temperature. We have to see if they're man or woman of their word. And I think this show is just one of many that could be a powerful tool that could bring the information to the public from politicians and also from public servants that really care. Justin, if I didn't mention anything about the Financial Empowerment Center, you know, maybe you want to mention that real quick so I won't.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about that. So that's another thing that I've been really passionate about and pushing for us to get going at the county. So the Financial Empowerment Center, I'm hopeful we'll launch that soon. What that would do is provide free financial counseling and a variety of other services that I'm hoping we'll be able to do, like debt matching. So if you've got debt and you could pay $50 towards it, I'm looking to a way for the county to be able to help match that. Because we know what we need to be able to do here is help people, lift people out of poverty. People get trapped in generational poverty and cycles of poverty. And if we really want to change the trajectory of people's lives, and the thing that I always say that's most important to me is make our county a place where everybody has the opportunity to thrive and be successful. Because we shouldn't be, there's so many resources in our county, we shouldn't be in a situation where your zip code determines your destiny and the opportunities available to you. That's not what I want us to be. That's not the outcome I want for us in Washtenaw County. And I think services like the Financial Empowerment Center will help people financially. I think continuing to do the good work and improving health outcomes, the great work that our community mental health does, that's my focus. So I say stay tuned on all those items, because I think the Financial Empowerment Center will be something that you're hearing a lot more about coming out of the county in the coming months.
Now that's public service. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all, if y'all want to re-elect a true public servant, elect Justin Hodge, because he's the man. He's a young man, but he has a vision. He has a restorative thought for our county and for District 5. Justin, it's been a pleasure. The next time we have you on our show, hopefully we'll be doing it in the studio or one-on-one in our new area. And tell the public once again how to reach you. I want to make sure they know how to reach you via phone, email, website.
Yeah, my website's votejustinhodge.com. You can reach me via email at info@votejustinhodge.com. Feel free to, you can give me a call or text at 734-325-9136. Happy to have conversations about any of this. And look too, even if you don't necessarily like my platform or what I stand for, I'm still your county commissioner for now, and I'm happy to support you in any way. If you need some support from the county or anything like that, always feel free to reach out. But yeah, check out the website. I've got a lot of videos on there where I talk about issues like this and try to do what I can to inform people about what's going on through my website, and of course the social media. So social media, you can find me at Vote Justin Hodge on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Regularly putting out updates from the county and information about what I'm working on. So please, yeah, feel free to reach out anytime.
There you have it, y'all. He dropped the mic. And I'm gonna drop this mic here, y'all. Thank you once again for coming on the show. This wasn't hard, was it?
No.
My man. Thank you, Justin. We'll talk more, man.
Okay, sounds good. See you soon.
All right, peace.